we do not inherit the earth from our ancestors. We borrow it from our children. Okay? So I want you to put in the chat real quick, what do you think that means? Okay? That we borrow, or it's loaned to us from our children. The earth is. Any thoughts on that? What does that mean? Don't mess up today because it will affect your kids tomorrow. I like that. Thank you, Heather, for answering. Perfect. Yeah, that's exactly what it means, okay? So if we go into an area, right, and we destroy that area, yep, I very much agree with her. Thanks, Mikkel. You know, we're not going to have anything left for them, you know? And so that's why they have preservation and conservation groups, okay? So one of the things, I'm not sure I told you guys before, so I actually like to go hunting quite a bit, so I'm actually going on a bear hunt in about a month up in Idaho. But, you know, I do like hunting, but I would rather have not hunt for a little bit and have these animals still around for my children to see and my children to enjoy them as well, okay? So there's a lot to that, and I don't want to destroy the area. I want to make it viable for everybody, okay? So the one thing about Central America is that's not going on there. A lot of people are destroying that area and not being good managers of the environment. Okay, so I have a question for you real quick. I want you to put in your poll question, okay? What is subsistence farming? Okay, that's something you'll hear in geography a lot. Subsistence farming, is it farming A, farming to feed your family and yourself, B, farming to raise money to make money, or C, farming to feed the whole world, or D, IDK? You guys know what that is, right? I don't know. Okay, so I'll give you guys a little bit to answer there. Thanks, Susan, for answering. Thank you, Heather. Christina. Kel, good job. All right. Okay, and the correct answer is A. It's farming to feed your family and yourself, okay? And so a lot of that area down there in South America, they've been very poor. And what they've done is they've just had enough to feed themselves, okay? They just have enough food. But what they've done now is a lot of them, they found out that they can make money farming to raise money to make more money, okay? And so now you have these big farms out there that are kind of taking that area, and sometimes they're not using the greatest of farming techniques that is best on the environment, okay? So, and here's another thing, like, you may do subsistence farming kind of yourself, and you may, if you like grow your own garden, okay? So you may gotta do that a little bit, but most of us around here, we still go to the store and get most of our produce and groceries and stuff. Okay, I wanted to show you this picture real quick, okay? This is what they call a political cartoon. And political cartoons, what they are, is they kind of depict what's going on in the world, okay? And so you kind of see here, it says a human population growth chart, okay? So that basically means the population, or how many people live in the world. So it starts from the very beginning of 0 AD and it works its way up. And you see it kind of slowly stays the same, and around this time right here, it starts to explode, okay? And the reason it does is that's because we created Yep, there's a ton of people in the world right now. If there's never been that many before. But what's happened right here is we created vaccines, okay? And so you had modern medicine come in. And so it's kept people to be alive longer. And you have more technology that's building. And next thing you know, the babies that usually would have died at birth, they are still living. And the people that died from these sicknesses, they're living to be longer. And we're prolonging people's lives. And so you go right here, and we're at over 12 billion people. The file that I'm sending you, Susan, is the PowerPoint that I couldn't load. So if you want that, you can download that. But you have a train here, okay, that's on the political cartoon. It says, I think I can, I think I can, I hope I can, I really hope I can, man, I hope I can. And what it's doing is it's carrying the world's food delivery system, okay? So we know that there's almost only so much food that we have in the world, right? And there's so many people. So people are kind of going hungry. But what we have done is we have modified food to make it so we can continue to feed everybody in the world. And they've created different things and techniques that make things like tractors were the first invention. So now you're not like plow and horse, all those kind of things. But there's a real point that some people believe that there's going to be a point where we're not going to have enough food for the people in the world, and people are going to start dying off because we don't have enough food. Here's another thing that I pulled from not too long ago about where we are at, okay? So the U.S. population, this is a calculator you can actually find online, and it's pretty interesting here as we're talking about human geography and the population. There's one birth every 7 seconds in the United States, okay? There is one death every 12 seconds. So if there's one birth every 7 seconds and one death every 12 seconds, that means we're gaining people, okay? Just by that. But then you have one international migrant every 32 seconds. So that means somebody that's coming from another country that's coming into the United States. So that basically means every 12 seconds there is one more person that is living in the United States. Okay, and it keeps going up. And right now we're about 326 million people that live in the United States, which we're not even the highest populated country. The world's population is around 7,500,000,000. About 1.5 billion of those live in China, and then another 1.2 billion live in India. And then the United States is third on the most highly populated list. So there's just a lot of people in the world and a lot of mouths to feed and a lot of resources that need to take to keep everybody alive and living the quality of life we do. Okay, so this is what we call a population pyramid. As you can see on the one side over here, we have males on the left, ladies on the right. And I'm just going to have you try to read this real quick. So it says, according to the graph, who lives to be older? A, male, or B, female? So I want you to take a look at this. See, you have the ages right here, and how many are in each age. Okay. Thank you for answering, guys. I'll let you think about it. Let's hurry and get our answers in. A or B, male or female? Guessing's okay. Okay, the correct answer is female, okay? If you look at the very top up here, okay, you can see that there are more females than males. And then on average, females actually live to be older than males, okay? Especially in the United States. Now, that's different in some other countries like Africa. in Africa, they don't have very good women's health, and they have a lot more diseases, and the women seem to have a lot more babies, and so women actually don't live to be as around as long as men. But in the United States, females live to be longer than males. Okay, so let's jump back real quick to Central America real quick, and I'll kind of tell you a little bit about some of the things that are going on that are oh, come on, that's not staying up. Hold on. Oops. Some of the things that the people are doing in Central America that's causing the environment to go away. Now, one thing that we've talked about is deforestation. What do cows have to do? Cows and rainforests have to have in common. Okay, and the thing that they have in common is that they have found, people in Central America, that people like to eat meat. Who likes to eat meat? Why don't you put it in the chat real quick? Do you guys like a nice steak? Okay, some people are raising their hand. You guys like a nice steak every once in a while? I like a medium rare steak, honestly. Okay, bacon. That's pig, but, you know, close. You know, hamburgers, that kind of stuff, okay? They found out that people like beef, and so what they have done is they have went and they've cut down these rainforests so the cows can go in and they can graze. And the cows, if anybody has ever raised cows before, I grew up on a little farming community north of, or west of Ogden, and they eat all the grass and everything that's around there, okay? And so they've kind of trampled over that area of the rainforest and kind of ruined that area. So that is one of the things that's happened to Central America, why they've caused that. But the biggest thing for them is it's money to them, right? They're very poor, and if they say, hey, I get some cows, I can make some money. So you can't really blame them, because a lot of them are in these situations if you look at these pictures. This would be like one of the typical houses you might see over there in Central America. To your right, you know, luckily it's warmer over there, so usually you just want some shade, and this is just basically a shack, and they've just used some like some fabric to cover up the area to keep them out of the weather. And as you can see, there's most of the people that are in poverty in Central America and throughout the world are children. And as you can see over here, this person does look like they live a great quality of life, this little girl, and that's and people just want the best for themselves, right, and for their families. So you can see why they're wanting to do whatever they have to do, even if it's at the cost of the land that they have. Okay, so here is a crazy statistic. Let's do another poll question real quick. Approximately how many children live in poverty in the United States? So we're jumping out of Central America now, and we're talking about the United States of America, right? The most well-off country in the world. How many? Is it A, 5%, B, 8%, C, 12%, or D, 18%? Okay, I'll give you a second to think about that and answer. Okay, so you haven't answered in a while. Why don't you just jump on the poll real quick? And the correct answer is 18%, okay? So this was taken in 2007, so it was about 10 years ago, but over 13 million children in the United States were living in poverty, okay? Children represent a disproportional share of the poor in the United States. They are 25% of the total population, but 35% of the poor population. Why do you think children are more in poverty than than adults. Any thoughts you can put in the chat? Parents don't want to take care of them. Okay. Because they can't get jobs. All right. Very, very good. Some good thoughts there. Both of those are very true. Okay. The more children you have, the more it's harder to get out of poverty, right? Because you need child care. One of the things is that you have a disproportion of single mothers raising children, and so daycare is so expensive to send your kid to that they can't. They'd rather stay home and live in poverty than go get a job and pay more in daycare than they make at their job. Okay, so that is a big thing, and of course, the children, like you guys need to go to school, because the more education you have, the more likely you are to get out of poverty, okay, if you're in poverty. So poverty basically means if you make your household income is about $24,000 or less a month, you'd probably be considered in poverty. So that's about $2,000 a month that your family would bring in the United States. Now, of course, in Central America, if you brought $2,000 a month in, you'd be a millionaire, almost like a millionaire over there. So that's why there's some disproportion, okay? So let's jump back to Central America real quick. A total of 43.2 million people live in Central America, and over half of them live in poverty. Okay, so that's almost 22 million people that are living in poverty in Central America. So that's a lot of people that just can't get the necessities of life. And so that's why we talked about how immigration to the United States, and all these people are coming from Central America to go to the United States, because they don't have any money, right? And they need food, and they need water, and they need shelter. Okay. One of the things that this causes, this poverty, is you have child labor. As you see this picture right here, this young child, they're not in school right now. They don't get the opportunity to play games. They go out each day and they work. Okay, and that's one of the things which causes not such a huge mortality rate, like how old people live to be. Because they have to work from such a young age, and they work hard. They're usually manual labor jobs, or they try to sell things to tourists. When I've visited Central America quite a few times, I've had children that will come up to me that will ask for money or ask for me to buy things. So it's really a tough life living in some of these countries. Okay, this leads us do you? Okay, you'll have to explain that a little more, Susan. Do you? Okay, so we're going to talk about our final project now. If you just want to type that in the chat, I will answer your question, whatever that is. So we have a final project in Unit 3, okay? This will be due this coming Friday. The final project is you're going to create a little brochure or flyer. Okay. Do you give them money when you went down there? Okay. Yeah, so sometimes I feel really bad and I give them money. And sometimes it just kind of depends on the situation, like if I have any. So some of them sell like little pieces of gum. Some of them are just selling like, sunglasses or anything like that. But the hard part is there's so many. You give one person some money that everybody else will come gather around wanting money, and it's like, where do you kind of stop? So it's just a hard situation all around. It's hard to be in because you want to help them out as much as you can. Okay, I'm going to jump back to the final project right now. What you're going to do is you're going to create a brochure or a flyer. Okay, so you can use like Microsoft Word, Google Document, WordPerfect, or you can do any kind of other maybe site that creates flyers and stuff like that. I know there's some internet sites out there that you can do it, so you can figure it out. What you are is you're basically an advertising campaign that's examining poverty in Central America, okay? So what are the primary, so you want to list on that paper, right, a couple of these questions you might want to put on there, okay? So what are the primary causes of poverty in this region, okay? So why are they poor, right? Is it because the government doesn't have there's not a good government, we don't have a good economy down there, so they can't do it? There's not enough jobs, they don't have the education, okay? There's a lot of things like that. Who is benefiting from the current international aid? So we feel bad for them, just like Susan said. You know, I try to give them money, that kind of stuff. The people like the Red Cross and Christian funds and stuff like that, they go down there and they give them money, and governments give them money, like the United States, to kind of do that. But the problem is that aid money sometimes is given to the government, and then the government people, they take it for themselves. So it doesn't get to the people who really need it. What are some of the potential solutions to address the poverty? So that could be like education, that could be you know, finding, bringing employers in to employ these people, you know, finding different ways of making money than they're kind of used to. How do these potentials make an impact? Okay, so you don't have to answer all these questions, but I want you to just kind of critically think about these things as you're making your flyer. Okay, so let me show you some examples real quick. Here's some that I haven't been in the past. They gave a little picture there, and they kind of you know, just put a couple things of why they're in poverty. Some of them were because of natural disasters. This person did a little couple paragraphs there and put some statistics on the side there. That's kind of nice, and where they got the information from. Okay, so this is kind of open source, which means you can find that information wherever you'd like. So all right, so that kind of ends us there. You have your exit ticket that you can find, so make sure you grab that. I'm going to stop